Book besties, are you ready to have your heart broken? Because I sure as hell wasn't. And yet, here we are, chapters 26 through 30, breaking my damn heart. I'm Mitch, and this is the Lit with Mitch online book club. If you're not part of the book club, we pick a book together. Then I do a video every 5 chapters. We discuss all the interesting stuff in the comments. It's a lot of fun, but it's do at your own pace because they're videos and they'll be there forever. So if you're looking for an online book club, come and join us. Otherwise, if you're already following along, we've got Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan, chapters 26 through 30, and boy, were they a doozy, hurting my heartstrings. Let's get into it, starting with the summary. These chapters start off with Leah coming in and being like, look, I want to join the Vipers. She's just as manipulative as the other villains. She uses crying as like her weapon to get what she wants. And so eventually they're like, yeah, girl, come and join us. This is when they go to the celebration. Verilise is there. She's supposed to eventually become the Ice Queen and lead to Marius and Leah's death eventually. But things are different now. Because Ray goes up to Verilise and is like, hey, just so you know, your brother's gonna die soon. And she's like, well, I gotta get back home. So she goes to leave, but then Lord Fabianus, you know, the one everyone thinks is gay, declares his love for her. And they go off together happily. Everyone's super excited except for one person. And it's just a great little love story. They get their cute little happy ending, and things are different now. Ray is back in her room in her plot tub, where she's thinking about things that happened and who this one person was that wasn't very happy with the, pairing. And this is when the king storms into the room. He wants some more hanky-panky time, but Key is not going to let this slide at all. Turns out Ray pushed too hard, and now the king, not interested in Leah. No, he wants a little bit of that Rahela action. But when he goes to, like, touch Rahela, Key's like, oh, no. We're not doing that. This ultimately leads into Key punching the king right square in the kisser, breaking his legendary sword, which was forged in haste, and then Aimer jumping into the battle to help. Eventually, Aimer and Key are subdued, and they're taken to the room of dread and anticipation for magical whippings until death. Key is 100% sure Ray is going to come in, bust them out, everything will be fine, but Aimer's not so sure. This is when we switch to Ray's perspective. She runs up to Leah's tower, she's with the Cobra, tells them what's going on, and Cobra's like, ooh, I'm gonna go get Marius because I think he can help. And Ray's like, girl, I need your snake bracelet because it uses the voice of the king, and I can save one of them, and I'll just have to figure something out for the other. And Leah's like, great, sounds good. But also, use your power, your strength, which is your evilness. Use that to your advantage to get what you want. Go in there and use that. And Ray's like, you know what? You're onto something. She goes to that room of dread and anticipation. And she just villainizes it up. She's trying to be the max level villain she can. And she's like, oh yes, free Aimer, because who else is going to do my hair the way that I want? And so Aimer gets free. And she's trying the same thing with Key. And eventually, it seems like Key is going to be let go. Except instead, Sir Asshole, the king of the castle, decides to show mercy on him by killing him immediately. Leah and Ray take Aimer back to the room, but Aimer is pissed. She's mad at the way that Rahela was talking to her, and she's mad at Leah for showing pity on her. Whatever, Aimer's just throwing a fit. Eventually, Ray's like, Aimer, stop calling me Rahela. Like, all of this is a messed up situation. Rahela is dead. I am Ray. And she's like low-key admitting everything that's going on. In the meantime, Marius goes to see the oracles to figure out about Eric Mitchell, which he does. He learns the entire tragic backstory of how Eric Mitchell, this 14-year-old from New York, saved a little girl but was hit by a car. In doing so, dies on the side of the street to be reborn into this world. Marius knows the truth. And he's also like, wow, Eric's actually a pretty decent dude. Shoot, maybe I'm the problem? Anyway, so he goes back to the Cobra and is like, we need to talk. And tells him everything that happened, but Cobra's pissed right now. Cobra's like, I went looking for you and you were gone finding secrets about me. I needed your help. Now Key is gone. He's been thrown in the ravine and I needed your help. Then they have this very intimate conversation at knife point, which is not how I like to have my intimate conversations. And Cobra's like, look, this is what I need from you because you're asking me. I need you to kill the king. Also, I know the truth about everybody else on the court, and you specifically choose to ignore all of that, even the truth about yourself, because you are the true coward of the court. By the way, either you kill me or you be the only hero left and help me with the king. And that is where those chapters end. Let's get into the discussion. As always, I can't cover everything. This is a book club, so I'm trying to facilitate discussion. I will ask discussion questions at the end. Feel free to answer those, but I still want to know your thoughts, your opinions, things you like, you didn't like, quotes you like, whatever. I want to hear it all. Let's get into the stuff that I picked up. Let's go ahead and talk about the most tragic thing. Not just one death, but two terrible, unequivocally sad deaths for me. Yes, Key, my favorite character, is dead. That is terrible. But I didn't mention in my very quick synopsis about another loss. Victoria Broccoli. In the kerfuffle with all the guards where Aimer jumps in to help Key, who's taking down the king, and the other guards, Victoria Broccoli tries to defend Rahela and bites one of the little guards, but they stomp Victoria Broccoli's head in, and honestly, for someone who's had 4 lines in this book, I am pissed. I'm furious. Justice for Victoria Broccoli. Now moving on, I'm very sad about Key, especially because everything that happened here was Key pretty much worshiping Rahela and like trying to do his best to live up to Rahela, and then on top of that, Rahela was like, I don't ever want the king to touch me again. And the king tries to touch her again and manipulate her and be like, oh, you're the one that I want, and like get all hanky-panky creepy. And Key's like, no, we're not doing that. I don't care that you're royalty. I don't care that I'm from the slums. And then he was getting magically whipped again for the second time. And then ultimately just, that's it. I'm furious. I really am. So I'm gonna be honest, I think I know where this is going now. I could be totally wrong, but here is a speculation of mine. If you don't want to hear my theory, maybe skip forward a little bit, but here it goes. I think Rey is going to eventually get the Flower of Life and Death, and I think she's going to use it on Key to bring him back, which is going to show this big turning point in her character development where she's thinking all of these book characters are real people, yada, yada, yada. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where we're going. And I would be here for it because I want Key back. Especially because they had like this romance thing going on, but also like Key is just a badass. I love Key. I'm really feeling that some way, somehow, we're gonna like turn it back around so that maybe Rey redoes everything and tries to keep more people alive. There's a sequel. Something's gonna go on. Like she's gotta keep going. And I just don't think we've seen the end of Key. And if we have, I am going to be furious. Since we're talking about Key, let's go ahead and hit all the other cool stuff that happens in here. He's like really worshiping Rey. He's like kissing the hem of her, dress. And he takes the time to defend her during this whole creepiness that is the king. But some crazy stuff happens where like he straight up punches the king, which is crazy because he's royalty, but he's also all powerful right now. But you can tell that he was worried about what Key could do to him. We've been seeing that Key is OP, and clearly he is. The only way he was able to kill him was with a bunch of guards restraining him and then tying him up to a post, making him like mentally distraught, and then while he's tied down, cutting his throat. So Key was a big threat here. But the other stuff that happens with Key, while he's tied up, he's like, no, Rey's gonna come save us. She told me about her sickness. I believe her. And Aimer and the king are like, Rahela was never sick. She's never been sick. And so Key dies thinking that Rahela lied to him because that whole thing comes out. But we know that Rey really was sick, so Rey didn't lie, but the character of Rahela did. Doesn't matter. So not only that, but when she comes into the room, she's pretending to be this evil, for lack of a better word, bitch. And she's like disrespecting Aimer and she's disrespecting Key in this attempt to save them. And we also see this earlier, right after Key hits the king. She's like, get on your knees and grovel and beg for apology. I'm commanding you to do it because if that's not what happens here, you're gonna die. So like Rey is just looking out for them and is okay with them losing their pride or taking a hit to their pride or lying to them so long as they get to live in the end. So that is a bit of a change in Rey's character. But the tragedy here is Key never got to see the end result of that. Key never got to see that she was just trying to free him. He dies thinking that the one person he gave everything up for was lying to him and betrayed him. And that is a tragedy in and of itself. We kind of already touched on it, but let's hit up Rey and what's going on with Rey now. So she's changing, for sure. We see a lot of lines in here where Rey is straight up just like, I'm looking out for people, I want these characters to be better. And when she has that conversation with Aimer, she's straight up like, you're a real person. And up until this point, that is not how Rey has been at all. We've seen this like gradual shift. She is straight up acknowledging that these are real people because she's seen the result of what's happening. She's been confronted with the idea that these are book characters, but the way they act, the way they bleed, the way their heart works, she can't help but be like, no, these are real people. Okay, and there's one other thing going on with Rey that I want to talk about. It was mentioned in the last video, very briefly, but like the last 5 chapters for sure. And they bring it up again here, where R'hllor is the Lady of Snow and Flame. And when she comes in, you know, just being the ultra villain and being real scandalous with everyone, Aimer thinks, wow, she's so evil. She really is the Lady of Snow and Flame. And so I feel like there's some like background, lore, or prophecy, and she wasn't supposed to be the Lady of Snow and Flame because we know that she was supposed to die, but yet here she is. But when she reads that prophecy in the like Colosseum after the whole Queen trial thing, she again is referenced as the Lady of Snow and Flame. So I don't know if I'm missing something here, but why is R'hllor being seen as this? And why is it only when she's either doing a prophecy or doing real evil, scandalous stuff? In conjunction with Rey, let's go ahead and move on to how the story is changing. There's straight up a moment here where Rey remembers, what if everything they do just makes things worse? What if that's all it is? And then later, Rey thinks to herself, this story has been broken into so many pieces, it is impossible to put it back together. Like, it is broken. She can't do anything to get it back on track. And honestly, yeah, that's what happened. Like, you gotta fix this, girl. Well, not really. Like, at this point, you gotta drop the prophecy ruse, because that's not gonna keep happening. But also, you just gotta do the best that you can with what you got right now. Let the story be changed. I know she doesn't want to change the story. She wants these characters to live. She also wants the story that her sister fell in love with to, like, remain the same, but, like, we're past that. Get your flower of life and death and go home. Or, actually, what I want you to do is get your flower of life and death and save Key, but I digress. The story is so vastly different, and the best way to show that is the Ice Queen thing. So Lisa gets her happy ending with Lord Fabianus, who we thought this whole time was gay. He's not. He's bi. And he lets his daddy know that, because his dad was like, no, you can't go. I've always known about your proclivities. It's okay. I accept you. Which, you know, good job. Good job for being an accepting, loving parent. Love that for you. Also love that for Fabianus. But anyway, he's like, first off, I'm bi. Believe it or not, Dad, you can like both. And number 2, all those straight boys you wanted me to be like, they were hitting me up. He spills the gay tea. Ugh. I didn't know I would love that character, but I do. Anyway, they get their happy ending because he admits his love for this woman that is constantly called ugly, for lack of a better word. And now she's not going to become the Ice Queen. She's never going to get her feelings hurt by Octavian. She like hates the dude now. And instead she found love in a hopeless place. Cue Rihanna again. So the story is changing. It is beyond repair. Rey's just got to accept it and move on. But let me just tell you, that entire time where she was talking to Lisa, and Lisa's like, there's this guy I like, but like, I don't know if he likes me. And Rey thinks that she's talking about Octavian because that's the story she came from. I was screaming at my book, girl, no, this is not who she's talking about. Get your shit together. But she's like so freaking blindsided into the old story. Like, girl, you ruined that story. Stop pretending like you know what's gonna happen. The prophecy stuff, gone. The second you mess that stuff up with the balcony scene, stop doing the prophecy thing. Just stop. And that's shown again with the sword. She tells the king how to speedrun getting this sword for ultimate power and ultimate destiny. And he comes in, uses the sword once to like stop what's going on with the queen trial. And then when he gets in a fight with Key breaks the sword. And Aimer's like, oh my God, it's because the king, in all his brashness and egocentrism, he hastily made the sword. So it broke under no pressure, or Key is just a badass. It could be both. So all that messed up. Rey, stop pretending you got the prophecy, the power prophecy. Story is beyond your control now. You're just gonna have to use your other abilities, which is being a villain. Before we move on to the other little love thing going on here, at least in my opinion, let's just go ahead and talk about how the king frickin' sucks. I didn't like him. I didn't like him from the minute we met him. Was not a fan of Octavian. And then, you know, he's just going about lying to everybody, even his homie Marius. killed his best friend. That is justified in my opinion, but we're just gonna move on past that. Then he goes to this room with Rahela and is like, you pushed the stuff with Leah on me, and I don't actually think I like her. I like you because you're real seductive with your villainry or whatever. And when she's like, I'm not really here for that, my guy, he's like forceful. He even at one point says, come here or else. What? And that's when Key's like, let's see how much treachery I can do in 12 seconds. Which, get that tattooed because, whoo, that is a line. That is a zinger. And this whole thing is shown by some of the Cobra's last lines where he's like, I need you to kill the king. Marius, I need you to kill the king. You literally are the last hope because you are the last good person left alive. You are the last hero. We thought the king was a hero. No, we have seen that he is a sadistic jerk because the way he was like happy and gleeful while Aimer and Key are being whipped and tortured. They like compare him to like some kids torturing a dog. Like that's how messed up his mindset is. Dude is not a hero. He's a straight up villain. And Cobra sees that. And Cobra's like, Marius, you're the last good dude left. You are the last hope. So anyways, the king sucks. I hate that guy. Hope he dies soon. Now let's talk about the Cobra. We get his cool backstory. We know everything there is to know now. You know, he was in New York. He was just doing his own thing. He saw this kid that was about to get run over. He saves the kid and he pays the ultimate price for that. He meets the lady sends him here, and he spent the time to become who he is now. He was not going to give up. He made a name for himself to survive. And he tried to get that flower of life and death when he met a woman in this world whose husband used to be from the real world. He just never tried to get the flower. And because he was like singing or humming a song from the real world in this world, she was like, wait, are you from somewhere where my husband said he was from? And so that's how all the connection comes together. And we find out that the mother that he was talking about, no, that was really a woman from this book who just adopted him because she accepted somebody else from the real world. So it was really cool getting all of the Cobra's backstory. And we really find out that the Cobra is a good dude. Like from the core of his heart as a child, he's a good dude. He sacrificed himself for a kid. And when he has this confrontation with Marius, Marius is like, I know you used to be good, but now you're villainous. And honestly, I think the most villainous thing about the Cobra is his greed. He's got this brothel he's running and he's buying expensive things. But I mean, he was poor in the real world and he was poor in this world and he rose himself up. So if that's his only sin, I think we can look past that because he does spread the wealth. Moving on to Marius, we get some more of his backstory. We figure out the big secret, the other secret that's been behind the doors this whole time and why he left the ivory tower. It's because he went home and his dad was in a rage and was trying to kill his mom and his sister, and he killed his dad because he's the only one who could do it. And then after that, he swore, I'll never, hold a blade. He took his vows, whatever. That makes sense. That's his tragic backstory. But he's like so upset by this and he doesn't want people to know about this, that this is like another secret that the Cobra held on to. But he didn't even tell Marius that he knew this because Marius would have straight up murked him for this. Like that's how upset he is about this. So now we just have a really good understanding of where Marius is coming from. But that gets me into what I really want to talk about. Marius and Cobra sitting in a tree. They're not Kissing yet. I want that to happen soon, but it's not happening right now. So here's what's going on. Marius goes to the Oracle and is like, I want to know the truth about the Cobra. And then after he learns about the Cobra's backstory, he's like, well, wait, is he going to do anything to the king or is he going to do anything to my country? And the Oracle is like, you get one question and your question was you wanted to know about the Cobra, which I feel like is another one of those Freudian slips where he actually just was like real invested on the Cobra and want to know about the Cobra. And then after he learned about that, he was like, oh wait, shoot, the king. And then when they're having this discussion and there's blood on Cobra's clothes, Marius is like, why are you bleeding? And he's like, this is somebody else's blood. And he's like, who do I have to hurt? Who do I have to kill? I'm sorry. If you're not a fan of the Cobra, you're not going to be doing that. You like him. You got a little crush, don't you, Marius? It's fine. Just admit it. And I wonder if that's like what the Cobra was alluding to. Because in this weird at knife point, slightly intimate conversation, he's like, I deal in knowledge. I know everybody's truth. And you hide from that knowledge. You hide from that truth, even the truth of yourself. And that's what makes you the coward of the court. Which is crazy because this is like the strongest character here. But Marius is like, I can't even argue with that because that's the truth. I don't want to know the truth about people. We know who he's alluding to for the other people, but what's the truth about himself that he's hiding? Is it what I want it to be? I don't know. Anyways, I feel like there's some stuff going on there. I want to get to the bottom of it. I cannot wait to finish this book. We only have like 6 chapters left, so the next video will be the last video for this book, and then we're gonna move on to the sequel to this, All Hail Chaos. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I think that's it for me. Let's get into the 4 discussion questions that I have for you. They're pretty easy this round. Question number 1, I want to hear your favorite quotes from these 5 chapters. And it doesn't have to be one quote. Like, just give me the ones that you really liked, because there were so many funny quotes I just did not have the time to add to this video. For example, like Fabianus telling his sister that when she dresses in yellow, she looks like a lemon. Amen, because 1, I hate the color yellow with a passion, but 2, that is hilarious. Love that. Instantly one of my favorite characters. It doesn't also have to just be quotes. Let me know your favorite moments so far, because I was sitting in bated breath for so many of these moments. And I do love tragedy, but Key and Victoria Broccoli will live in my heart forever. That gets me to question number 2. How are we feeling about the characters now? We're almost to the end of the book. I want to know what you think, because maybe your first initial thoughts of King Octavian are completely different now. I already didn't like the dude from get-go, but now I super don't like the dude. And Cobra was cool at first, but now I love the Cobra. Marius was cool at first, but now I'm kind of on board the Marius train. Ray is just whatever. I usually have a hard time liking the main character. I usually am here for the side cast. Ray's okay. He's fine. Aimer, I'm not a fan. And honestly, same with Leah. Not really that big of a fan. The funniest thing about Leah was like the funny little viper dance they did. Loved that. Put that in one of my favorite moments from the last 5 chapters. Question number 3. Do you agree with my little analysis of the Flower and Life of Death and Key? Like, do you think that I'm right, that Ray is going to use that to either bring Key back or like maybe restart this whole thing? Or do you think she's going to get the Flower of Life and Death and dip and be like, peace out, Girl Scout, I got other stuff to do? And if you do think that she's not going to use it on Key, what do you think she's going to do with the Flower of Life and Death? Do you even think she's gonna get it? I want to know your thoughts. And the 4th question and last question that I have for you is, how do you feel about the world building? We're towards the end of the story, so there's not a lot of world building left, so I feel like now is the appropriate time to talk about it. We could talk about it in the beginning, but I feel like towards the end makes a bit more sense. There's a lot of like lore and world building going on in the background, and it all kind of like bubbles up to the surface at times. For the most part, I like how this stuff is introduced, like, you know, the magic sword and like this ravine and how the ravine came to be, and, you know, the gods and the pantheon, like all of that stuff is really interesting. I like how it's like very casually thrown in there, but all of those things matter. Like, so far, all the lore we've been introduced to matters. My only gripe with it is it's a bit confusing at times, especially when we get into like the king having lived a life separately, but also his blood being spilled is what caused the ravine, but also like they're the only place in the world with this ravine, and the ravine is filled with undead. And instead of, oh, I don't know, moving anywhere else, they just stay there. Like, there are some parts I'm like, okay, this is clearly a fantasy story. That's fine. That's kind of part of the background. But anyway, let me know what you think. But that is it for me for these chapters. We're nearing the end. Like I said, 1 more video left to cover the rest of the book. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I want to hear everything. Don't be afraid to answer the discussion questions or to participate in other people's discussion. With that being said, thank you as always for being part of the Lit with Mitch online book club, and I will see you for the next video.